everybody. It is Thursday, June 26th. Welcome to the Victoria Real Estate Show. I'm Jane Johnston with the Bar Hill Group, and we're here with...
Hey everybody, Andrew Plank here with Royal LePage and the Vibe Collective.
And...
Jen Lowe, mortgage broker with Dominion Lending Center Modern Mortgage Group.
Excellent.
Awesome. How's everybody's week going?
Busy. Very full.
Very busy.
Yep.
I remember when we started in real estate, Andrew, that I would go to the office. I remember one time I literally fell asleep at the desk. I'm like, now I was working till 10:30 last night and up at 7:30 this morning, and real estate's really changed for us. So
have you just gotten better at not, sorry, you were sleeping because you were bored at the time, or you were sleeping because you were overworked at the time?
I was bored.
Right? Yeah. But now we need more sleep because we're not getting enough.
Yeah. I look so tired.
Yeah. It's really aged you, Jane. I mean, we've been doing this for 19 years. It's put at least 10 years on you since. I'm trying to turn that into a compliment. I'm saying we've been doing this for 19 years and you only look 10 years older. But yeah, no, it's definitely a stressful job for sure.
It's so funny. I got into real estate thinking, oh, this will be easy. I have little kids. I can manage my time, and then whatever. Real life.
No, Jane, you've been very successful. You've learned to manage your time really well, and not everyone can do that. So, kudos on you, but it is a big sacrifice. A lot of people do have trouble managing and balancing their family with real estate. And that is definitely, it's not a 9-to-5 job.
It's not a 9-to-5 job.
I am working right now with someone who's the buyer's agent for one of the listings. They brought an offer. New in the business, has 2 other jobs, and is unfortunately not able to, is telling me, oh, I can't, we need extra time for conditions because we can't make a building inspection happen in the time frame that you're asking for. And I'm like, most people can make that happen. But like, oh no, but I've got all these other commitments and I can't do this. Oh, okay, interesting. This is wow. This is at some point gonna have to change for this person if they're gonna be working in this business.
I think I might know that person, and it's interesting the limitations that they've placed on themselves, because now they're not fully committed to real estate, but also just some misunderstandings of how real estate works sometimes. Like, the use in one case, I don't know, maybe it's a different person, like just why we use lock boxes and how effective they could be in managing your time. Right. Yeah. And in managing the seller's time and doing the best for your clients. That's what the most important thing is. So figuring it all out. Anyway. Okay. Let's go over what's going on. June 26th. We're talking about pre-bills. Our agenda for today is Jen's going to give us a mortgage update. Then we're going to do a weekly update. And then we're going to talk about the pre-bills, profit and pitfalls. Okay, Jen, how's it going?
Yeah, nothing too exciting this past week. Just still kind of waiting to see, getting some numbers in with the different inflation numbers and labor numbers and unemployment numbers and that kind of thing, to see what's going to happen with the next Bank of Canada rate update, which is end of July. Still 50-50 chance that interest rates are going to, or the variable rate will come down a 0.25 percentage point. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Fixed rates have kind of been pretty steady, up or down 0.05% here and there, depending on the lender, but nothing too crazy there either.
Lots of controversy going on in the world right now, which creates uncertainty. So
yeah, there could be a new Fed in the States, because I understand Trump is looking to maybe name a new successor for Powell. Is that his name?
Yeah,
No?
I don't
Anybody
know
on
if he
that?
can just
No.
do that though. Like it's a separate entity. Like, right?
Okay. Well, we shall
It
see,
is,
and
yeah, yeah.
we shall
But
see.
you know that effect, it is interesting, even just those statements that are made, how that affects the market.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's like dating a Sybil, right? Like which personality you're going to get today.
Mhm.
And then because you don't know which personality, you can't predict anything based on what you're hearing. So you don't know, like, oh, like if so and so says A, then B is going to happen. Right now we don't know. So and so says A, and who knows? We have like 26 different choices.
Well, they
Yeah.
could say A, and then tomorrow they'll say B, and then C and D. So that makes it hard. What's a Sybil?
I think
I don't
it's a
understand the
book.
reference you made.
There's a book called, I think it's called Sybil, and it's like this person who has 7 different personalities. And
Okay.
I'll send it to you. But anyway, yes. When somebody's
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah.
Not naming any names.
You always make me feel like I'm saying the wrong thing, but in this case,
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make you. I'm just trying to help our audience understand what the reference is, because I didn't understand it, so I wanted to make sure everybody does.
Are we the same age?
Okay.
Or am I older? I feel really old right now. Anyway, okay, so let's do the 7-day watch. We had new listings 359 this week compared to 348 last week. 189 went pending compared to 182 last week, and price decreases are down, yay, to 161 compared to last week, which was 219. So we're doing well in that regard, and expireds are also down to 48. So I think that's time of the month.
Yep. It's all pretty straightforward. Not a lot of major changes. The price decreases are definitely down, and that's an interesting one. So
I
okay.
find the new listings interesting. Like we're pretty late in the spring market for an increase to new listings.
Well, we're still down. You'll see in the stats that we're going to go to, we're still down from last year in terms of new listings, but I think we are having a late market. It feels to me like there was a bit of a lull, and it feels like we went up, lull, and then we're going back up again. So what we normally experience our maximum number of listings in May. I think we're going to see it's in June this year. That's just my prediction.
One thing to kind of consider, I guess, when we're looking at the market is sometimes the market gets condensed and sometimes it gets elongated and stretched, but there's kind of in any general year or decade or whatever, there's going to be a certain number of transactions that happen. And sometimes our spring gets extended out, but it might be slower, but more extended. Sometimes it's a really fast bunch of transactions all happen at once, but it might be the same number of transactions overall. I mean, it does go up and down, but I think what we're happening right now is the media and a lot of the stuff that's going on overseas has people kind of like, let's go on hold, let's start, let's stop. We were just talking about, Jane made the Sybil reference, but like there's all kinds of things that affect people's decision to go. It's like that game, go, stop, right?
Yeah, it's mirroring that uneasy feeling that people are having, what I see. Yeah.
Okay, so I just Googled Sybil, which depicts a person with a multiple personality disorder. So
thank you, Jane.
did I make the wrong reference here? No, I did not.
No.
Have you heard that? Have you heard that reference before, Jen? Am I the old one here?
No, I have not heard that reference before. But
Okay.
I figured that's where we were going with that.
Yep. Okay. All right. Moving on. So list to sell ratio. They're pretty much on par, 52.65% list to sell this week versus 52.3 last week. So pretty much on par. Not anything changing.
Do you want to do this one?
Sure. So month over month or year over year, our month to date stats. So what we're looking at is what has happened so far this month versus what happened in the full month of the year before. So here we are on June 26th. We've had 551 unconditional sales so far this month. And you can compare that to the 661 that happened in the full month of June last year. So we are probably going to get there. I'd say we're going to be pretty close to even there by the time we reach end of this month. In terms of new listings, 1,178 so far this month versus 1,495 the month before. And again, based on just what we saw, let me just go back a couple. 348 new listings.
Compared to June of last year.
Yes.
Not last month.
Sorry, June of last year. We just this last week had 359 new listings come on, and we had 189 come off. So we have maybe adding 100 a week, 100 and change a week to inventory. So we're going to, by the end of this month, be up around 1.3, 1.35. So 1,300, 1,350. So a little less than last year in terms of new listings on market. Oh, sorry. That's total active listings. New listings will be above because we had 348 last week. So if we chunk another week on, we're going to be above this number.
Potentially.
But total active listings will also probably go up to getting close to that 4,000 mark we've been talking about. And again, predicting that we'll be up above 4,000 by end of summer.
Yeah.
Sooner.
So
sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I'll be interested to see the end of the month net unconditional sales, because end of June is historically a crazy busy month.
Really?
For sales. Yeah.
Oh, for sales, right? Because a lot of people move July 1st weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's the end of school year. That makes sense.
So you're talking about, because we tend to track, you're tracking the trailing indicator.
The
we're
closing.
Tracking the leading. Yeah. So when you talk closings, a lot of them are happening as we, and even now I'm talking to some folks who are like, they want to make offers. They want to make sure the closing happens before school starts in the fall and so forth. So everything's going to get condensed over the summer if they can. Right. Okay.
I'm negotiating something that potentially might close in October. Oh. So what Jen is saying is we can negotiate in February for a July 1st closing or whatever, July 2nd closing. So when it happens is different than when it's negotiated. All right, so let's talk about our topic of the day, which is buying pre-builds. We're navigating the builder contracts. What are the challenges in financing? Jen can talk to that. The assignments, whether or not you are allowed and what the rules are with that. Developer disclosure statements, the importance of that, reading it over and noting that they can change over time throughout the process. Rescission periods and potential profit and pitfalls. Nice. Love that topic. Okay. So tell me, Andrew.
Well, we're starting to see, at least I'm starting to see more interest in pre-builds again. There was a time where people were really interested in pre-builds, buying pre-build because they could buy, maybe it's not going to be built for a couple years, hold it, assign the contract, make a profit. Back in the day, they were talking about shadow flipping and all kinds of things, flipping homes. There's been a lot of legislation that's come down on that, and a lot of developers have stopped allowing for that. But I think it's starting to open up again as well. So just want to talk again and refresh the benefits and the pain points of buying pre-construction. So
There's also like the timeline of when you buy pre-construction, because when you buy in the early on in the process or near the end of the process, they may be less flexible than they are in the middle. And I'm
the
thinking,
developer,
yeah, the developer, because at the beginning of the process, they want to get these properties sold, but they're setting a precedent for the rest of the development. At the end, they're like, listen, these are the last few pennies we're going to make on this. We're going to be fairly sticking to the line here. And then in the middle, maybe where things are stalling, sometimes they'll offer incentives. So there's a condo development. I had a client buy very early on. They probably got the best condo in the building, but later on they were offering strata fees as part of the compensation package. And
that's a great point, Jane, because your clients got in early and bought the best unit in the building, and you're not going to get the best unit in the building, halfway into the development. So
yeah.
And I have definitely seen examples of, depending on the size of the developer, the sophistication of the developer, they sometimes sometimes the pricing of some of the units are actually not in alignment with the market. And there are going to be some built units in that building that are a better value to snap up right away. I've definitely seen that where they've maybe miscalculated based on the view corridor or the size of the unit or the location in the building, and maybe they did a flat kind of pricing all throughout, but one side of the building is on a busy road and one side is looking into forest and quiet. And you definitely want to be able to get in and snap up the first offerings. You may not get the best price, but you'll get the best selection.
You'll get the best resale value, best investment over time.
Yeah. Now, that being said, one of the challenges of buying pre-sale is if you actually need to move into this building, you're not buying it as an investment. You don't have another place to be while it's being built. You can put yourself at risk for a number of reasons. Number one, not every pre-build gets built. So you could be putting your deposit up and you will get it back, but you could be putting your deposit up and tying up your money for quite a long period of time only to find that the development doesn't proceed. And you could also, there's lots of things that could go sideways in that. And Jen, I'd like you to speak to lending, because this is such a key part of these pre-construction, which are sometimes 2 years from being built. And a lot of lenders won't tie that kind of commitment up for that long.
Mm-hmm. It's a risk, 100%. It's a risk. I mean, we don't know where the market's going to be 2 years away. So one piece is we can't get a firm approval for the most part. Sometimes there is builder financing that you can get, but you're usually paying a much higher interest rate for that builder financing, for that guarantee. So going back a step, and so we can't get a firm approval until we're 4 months out from the projected completion date. So what is the appraisal going to be? How is that property going to be, what's the potential value going to be at that time? From a lending standpoint, the lender looks at, from determining the valuation, the lower of either the appraised value or the agreed upon purchase price.
Right. So and if the market has come down in the 2 years since you agreed to purchase it, now you are appraising lower than your agreed purchase price, and maybe interest rates have gone up. So you could be in a negative position and still required to close.
Yeah.
I do know RBC will do a rate guarantee for when you purchase. And interestingly, I was talking to the mortgage specialist. She was saying that that all these people were really angry because they had tied into this interest rate of 3% or something when, like 4 years ago. And then the houses or the condos were being built, and all of a sudden they're like 3%.
Yeah.
It was really good. So there is there's a calculated risk on both sides, right?
for sure.
Yes, but I think my understanding, and Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, if you did get that pre-approval that is locked in 2 years down the road, but you get within that 4 month window where you could actually have gotten another lender, you can still shop around and go to that other lender. You're not locked into the one that you had the pre-approval with.
Most definitely. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's a no lose to locking in on that higher interest rate just to make sure that you're buffered. You're hedging your bets there.
There's
Yes,
also
Jane.
so just looking at the market overall, sometimes people get cold feet and they want to, what we were talking about assignments, so they want to sell, and or all of a sudden things changed. Like in one of my cases, one of the family members got ill and she actually passed away. So they decided, they bought this condo for the mom and they couldn't go ahead with it. So they wanted to sell it, and we had to negotiate with the lender, or not with the
The
lender, with
developer.
the developer, and they ended up, for a $50,000 deposit, they took 25.
Wow.
Deposit or lift? Sorry.
We didn't sell it. We ended up just giving it back to the developer.
Okay. Well,
But
and the developer could have just kept the deposit and insisted on a completion. So
yeah, like it can be a bit risky, is what I'm saying, is that sometimes, so we were looking at assigning it, and the developer reserves the right to give permission or not, whether or not you can resell. And the risk for the developer during the resale process is just that they're now, this seller is now competing with their own listings. So we're not allowed to put it on MLS. So it's very hard to sell.
So this speaks to the pre-construction contracts, these developers contracts. They're very restrictive. They're not the standard contract that we generally use for a resale, single family or home or strata. So it's got a lot of very restrictive language in it. It's always good to get a lawyer's review of that language. It's not often negotiable, but every once in a while you can negotiate something. And if you're anticipating wanting to assign the contract or being able to do something, and it's really important to you, then that is definitely a discussion you want to have when you're making your offer.
Mm-hmm.
So the Proxima, when they initially had the developer disclosure, I think they had a $1,500 fee or something for resale. And then one of the amended disclosure statements that came out, the amendment was changed. That particular resale penalty was changed, I think, to like a much higher percentage. So it really disincentivized people to sell during the development process. So that can happen too, just so you know.
So the developer's disclosure statement is kind of like an imaginary picture. Well, it's not imaginary, but it's a framework that frames out what you're going to get at the end of the day when the property completes. And it's got some wiggle room in it so that they, when they say it's going to be 1,000 square feet, it could be plus or minus a certain percentage of that. When they say it's going to have this kind of fittings and fixtures, they also have some baked in wiggle room for what they do. But at the end of the day, you should be getting generally what has been offered in this developer's disclosure statement. If they make a change to the developer's disclosure statement,
you have to sign off
on it. It can
on
impact what you are getting. If it's a major change, it might allow you to step away from the contract. If it's really material to what you were buying, but the smaller changes don't let you walk away. So there could be some evolution in this development over time from when you first agreed to it as well.
Andrew, you touched on it. Really important to have your lawyer review the builder's contract, because another piece is how long can they extend the closing date?
Right.
I mean, it can be, it can go on, and there's always delays in building. There is. They very rarely does a pre-build close on the actual completion date that was put in the original contract. But how much longer can the dates be extended?
So that's an interesting point, because And what you have to do is go through it with your realtor, because you have to look at where the market's going. So in one case, my clients bought on Esquimalt Road, and we kept getting delayed and delayed. And we actually ended up being delayed 2 years. And the buyer was so angry. And there were this is before the anti-flipping thing. So there were realtors who invested in this condo. And it turned out that the purchase price was here, and the value by the time that they finished was up here. So it was, when we talked about walking away, we realized the value had increased, so we weren't going to walk away. So it's very frustrating. Also, some people are, like, I would say some buyers are tolerant of not knowing what the end product is going to be. I mean, that's why you go to a showroom, so you can see it. But other buyers are intolerant. They don't know. The uncertainty is too much for them, and they don't have a lot of say. So it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting. There's a different kind of mentality of buyers for new construction versus resale. I mean, new construction, it's brand new. Nobody else has lived in it. It's yours the minute you move in, and so you've got that the sense of, this is mine. It's brand new. I don't want to be moving into somebody else's space. But what you're doing is you're paying the profit for the developer, and pricing is not necessarily based on market pricing. It's based on the cost of construction plus the lift that the developer wants to do. If the developer was smart and organized and able to make things work, it should align well with the market, but not always. And
there are,
if the market changes to the negative, then property values in the resale market tend to go down. But the developer, they can't take a loss. They're not going to be adjusting their prices to the same degree.
Right. So the other thing is, when you're working with a developer is very cost sensitive, and they're going to say, this is how much it costs for me to build. This is, my cost plus, and all this stuff. When you're selling, or when you're purchasing a property that's for sale by owner, like through MLS, like through a realtor, but the owner is selling it, they're more flexible, I find, because it's more emotional for them. It's not a business decision always. Sometimes it is, but they tend to be more flexible. So I'm just thinking right now, the Eliza just finished being built, occupancy happened, and now there are for sale signs up there.
Yep.
And I'm like, I drive by there every day, and I'm like, there's more coming up.
Well, so and the presale market, it's not like it used to be when back in the days when people were going and lining up in Vancouver for presale offerings. And one of the reasons we've already touched on is the lack of ability to reassign the contract, so to resell it. If you do get permission to resell it, you probably have to pay the developer a percentage of the lift, meaning a percentage of the amount between what you agreed to pay the developer and what you end up selling it for. So in other words, the developer wants to partner in the profit with you. We also have the anti-flipping tax now. So if you buy a place, whether it's pre-sale or not, and want to resell it within 2 years, you're paying a percentage now to the provincial government in that as well. So it's really disincentivizing the pre-sale for profit.
So it's 2 years from when you offer on the property, when you get the accepted offer. So that is not always relevant now, right? Because it can take 2 years to build a building. Yeah.
Well, it depends if you do have permission to assign within those 2 years, then you would be paying that anti-flipping tax on the assignment. It does include assignments for anti-flipping tax. So I'm just saying that there's less speculation in these now, but there's still some really great buildings. I think the key takeaways for new construction folks is, even though so definitely have a lawyer review it, definitely have a realtor who knows the market, can speak to you in general, can look at the market in general. I've certainly had people who are interested in new construction because there's a shiny objects over here and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful space. And I can say to them, look, on the resale market right now, you can go and buy this. You don't have to wait. It's going to be less price per square foot. It's in a better general location. It's a really, really well-respected building. and these sellers are motivated to sell. It's not the profit motive that the developer has.
Also, when you're buying new construction, look at, first of all, are they getting a professional management company to manage it? Because that's very important for financing. What are the strata fees that they're planning to have and expect them to go up? Often people are kind of seduced by the low initial strata fee, and then they get in and reality kicks in. Oh yeah, we have to like have the parking lot cleared of snow every year, and that's $3,000, and divide that by the amount of people in the building. So the other thing is what Andrew was saying is because it's shiny and new, is just people often don't put enough money away in the contingency fund right away. And, at year 10, they get caught. So just understanding that you're buying into a community. And I would say the positive of that is that people come in and they're all eager to meet one another. It's a really nice feeling in a great building when people come together to live for the first time. So I'm seeing that in the Eliza. Everyone's like, hey, I'm in 401. Hey, I'm in 402.
Yeah.
I'm using the gym. Are you?
Right. And amenities and those amenity rooms and things, those are another piece that could shift and change in the developer's disclosure statement. But one of the reasons people buy these things, right? Get promises of beautiful grounds and landscaping and a gym and a rooftop patio.
Yeah, then that's what I say. Like you move in and it's not all done yet. And you're like, is it going to be done? And establishing those rules around those things like the amenities rooms. And, oh yeah, you know what? I remember like 1440 Lindburn, no parties after 10 p.m. because people have abused that. So Andrew's just moved back. We now have a water picture
I
of
don't
you.
know why the camera does that, but now you can see my mess.
Anyway, I mean, I would encourage people to buy new construction if they want something where they have a bit of a say and a fresh palette to work with.
Yeah. So have we covered the basis here? So builders contracts, they're all different, and you definitely need a lawyer's review. And there are some key elements that we see over and over again. Some of these elements may be negotiable, often not. Price is often not negotiable, but it depends how long it's been around for. Jen talked about the challenges of financing, and that's definitely a piece that you want to consider. If there's a longer period of time or an expectation it'll be, or I mean, almost always there's going to be a longer period of time than your financing is going to get locked in for. So it's really important to have backups or look at paying a little more to get that locked in financing through one of those lenders like RBC. We talked about assignments. We talked generally about developer disclosure statements. We haven't talked about rescission periods. I just really quickly speak to that. If you buy new construction, make an offer on it, you have 7 days. You can walk away within 7 days of the accepted offer for any reason whatsoever. There is no rescission fee. So unlike the resale market for the new construction, you can walk away and there's no fee. So if you do like what you see and you want to lock something in, make that offer, do your due diligence. You've got 7 days. Jane.
Plus you could also have a conditional period if you want of financing. So you can extend that 7 days so that you don't have to pay a fee anyway.
Yeah. But if you do, we don't recommend you just walk into the developer's showroom and work with the developer's representatives and just sign something up. Please bring us in early, because we often won't be able to get paid or represent you if you don't bring us in right from the start. But if you do go into that developer's showroom and sign something up, you're not locked in. No, you're not locked in within the first 7 days. So you may want to make sure you think about that.
I just to tag on to that. So Andrew talked about us getting paid and stuff like that. That's because the developer doesn't know that you're working with a realtor. They are required well, naturally, they don't follow the same rules that we do, but you should be getting your own representation. They do build that into the budget. But the most important thing to know is that your realtor can do things like negotiate GST included, and they can get you extras if, it depends on the market. We're really looking at the market as a whole. And so there's value there in working with somebody who's experienced and not just an order taker.
Not just an order taker, and not just someone who is looking out for the best interests of the seller. We can at least advise you that, this seller's contract's really restricted. This seller is not making any changes to their contract, but maybe there's another offering down the road that you hadn't even considered yet that we are aware of that might get you more of what you're looking for a better price.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, context and wide field vision. Anyway, I think we've exhausted that. Anything else you guys want to chat about or speak to that on?
Nope, I'm good. Pretty comprehensive, pretty quick. Good job. All right, you guys, if you know anybody who's interested in looking at new construction, contact us. Please like this video. We really, really like it when you like our videos. And don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, to subscribe to us and comment, because we'd like to hear what you have to say. And again, share if you know somebody who may need this information. Andrew, how do people reach you?
I'm at 250-360-6106. My email is info@andrewplank.com. Website is andrewplank.com or realvibe.ca. The Vibe Collective is a group of excellent realtors who are looking after your best interests, and we are a collective, so we are all individuals under the Vibe brand, and looking forward to serving you.
How many realtors do you have there?
Right now, 2, plus 2 full-time staff, and a marketing team that we're outsourcing. And we're looking to grow to 3 to 5 agents local, plus some agents in some of the further fields. So I'll talk to you more about that offline.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Jen, how do people reach you?
I am at 250-217-4925. And my email is jen@jenlowe.ca, and website is jenlowe.ca.
All right. And I'm Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun. My number is 250-744-0775. And my email is jane@briarhillgroup.com. You can reach me at briarhillgroup.com, and you can follow me about lifestyle in Victoria at realtyteacher_RE/MAX_Victoria or Briar Hill Group. All right, you guys, we are on every Thursday at 9:30. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any topics that you think you might want to have more information about, we'd love to cover it for you. So we'll see you next Thursday. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys. Bye now.